Let's see how much this team determines my mood this weekend. Let's see. They hold my emotions in the palm of my hands. The Texas Longhorns already lost, but nothing like Cowboys football. Nothing like it. No matter how many
Yep.
times they upset us, nothing like
Amen.
it. Been a long time coming. Hopefully this team can, really find a way to compete in Philadelphia, back against the wall. Micah Parsons has been traded. Did
Back
that
looks
happen
fine,
before?
man.
Yeah, did that
Back looks
happen?
fine.
Yeah, did that happen before our last episode or after we
It
posted?
happened right after we posted on
Yeah,
Thursday. It happened Thursday afternoon. So
unreal.
Jerry
So,
also screwed us over
yeah,
by
so
putting it
Micah
right
Parsons.
after we released the podcast where we talked about Micah Parsons potentially playing tonight.
Yeah, crazy. So since last
Unbelievable,
episode,
Jerry.
what a
Think
long
about
week it
others before
was.
yourself.
Yeah, what a long week it was. Micah Parsons traded to one of the Cowboys' most bitter rivals, the Green Bay Packers in Wisconsin. He's now being the green and gold as number one for the Green Bay Packers. And the Cowboys got Kenny Clark and two first-round picks in return. Firstly, your thoughts on that trade. I think we already know what it is, but your thoughts on the trade.
I think it was awful. I think that people are trying to cope with this trade. Look, I don't expect anything from the Cowboys. I still get disappointed with it. Um, Jerry Jerry's main plot. The thing is that this was all on Jerry. All right, this was all on Jerry. Micah should be in a Cowboys uniform, and the only reason why he was traded is because of Jerry Jones and his reluctancy to negotiate or to play the other side. He always has to have the power, the leverage, and that screwed us over, and it's been screwing us over in the past. I think it worsened contract talks with Dak Prescott, worsened contract talks with Zeke, worsened talks with almost any of our star players that have gone on to other teams. Um, or even I don't know, like the CD Lamb one as well is another example. The coping comes from people saying that we saved money and we're able to pay players like Deron Bland, which is true. That's a good point. We're able to play Deron, or we're over able to overpay Deron Bland now because we didn't overpay Micah Parsons. Who would you rather have? My opinion, Micah Parsons. And the thing is, they're saying, "Oh, we're saving 47 million in the cap." When's the last time Jerry's done anything with the cap space? Anything at all? In free agency other than re-signing players, which should have just been Micah Parsons. 47, a little too steep. I get that. But you were able to do that with Dak. You're able to do that with CD. Micah is a big game changer. He's better. He's a more bigger game changer than Dak Prescott and CD Lamb, in my opinion. So I just feel like this is all very bad. It's very bad malpractice throughout the entire organization, specifically Jerry, but through the entire organization for not getting a deal done with Micah. And I think this trade was buns.
Well, I mean, that last sentence kind of said it all, and that's how I felt when I first saw it. Some people have been drawing out that point you were talking about, the cap space. And look, some people have some good points with it, but this is an all-pro linebacker that the Cowboys had. I always say it every now and then. I feel like not a lot of people say it enough, but he was our most talented defender since DeMarcus Ware himself.
No doubt.
Absolutely. That's a Hall of Fame talent DeMarcus Ware was. DeMarcus Lawrence was amazing for sure, but he didn't have the natural talent that Micah Parsons had. And so seeing that trade, what is it with just not getting a valid return, with all these DFW general managers? What is it with, just allowing these teams to just step on you, roll over, and just take what they give you? Kenny Clark, with all due respect, I saw the tape, really decent player. He was much better, obviously, like 2 or 3 years ago. The guy is 30 years old. He doesn't have the quickness he used to. I don't know if he can shed blocks like he used to in the interior. Great player. I hope he does well against Philadelphia tonight. He's going to have his, back against the wall, as will the whole front seven. And don't get me wrong, this defensive line is still very talented. But when you leave Micah Parsons out of this, the more that Jerry waited with that summer in the offseason and the years or the months leading into the end of the regular season, the price only got larger. So no one really is to blame but Jerry Jones. You can talk about David Mulligetta all you want, Micah's agent, trying to get his players the bag. But that's his job. He's trying to help out his guys. Jerry always finds a way to make it too late. We've seen this too many times as Cowboys fans, waiting too late to make a move. And when it's too late, guys want to request a trade and say, you know what, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
So Micah's out of here. Nothing we can do about it anymore. I will say it doesn't feel like, how it felt when Luka got traded by
Yeah,
Nico Harrison. That was in the middle of the
absolutely.
night. Yeah, it doesn't feel different. I'm a little more over that, still a little hurt by this trade. But when I see how Michael Parsons is not there anymore, I really worry for this front seven. I don't think this defense is as bad as people are going to think, but he is a game-changing player, an
Yeah.
all-pro player, regardless of how people think about him, regardless of how people hate his podcasting or something. I really do think he's a big player that's going to be missing. You'll see it tonight.
Yeah, and I talk. Sorry, I mean I've talked about his big game disappearances and stuff before on this podcast, and that's a frustrating thing, obviously, but it's inexcusable for him not to be in a Cowboys jersey right now, regardless. This doesn't happen with any other team. Nobody trades their 25-year-old or 26-year-old superstar like this, other than the Dallas Mavericks. And I mean, yeah, it's like the Luka trade in the sense that I'm not well. Sorry, let me retract. It's not like the Luka trade because I think the Luka trade was much worse, but it is like the Luka trade in a sense that I would be fine with doing this if the return was just a little bit better. The Mavericks return was
That's
just
literally
not
it.
good.
That's
And
it.
it's the same thing for the Cowboys. And they're talking about the 2027 NFL draft because we got a first round pick in that trade with Green Bay. And they're talking about the 2027 draft being particularly really deep. And name dropped Colin Simmons as one of them. And how we have multiple first round picks we can go and trade up and try to get a player like Colin Simmons. What the hell? Colin Simmons is literally just Micah Parsons. Why wouldn't we just keep Micah Parsons then? It just makes
And you kind of alluded to it. Like, there's no guarantee that you get, a good pick with that. It still comes down to evaluation. It comes down to, where the player is that you're trying to draft and your position in the draft. What if
mm-mm.
this Dallas team ends up being really good this year? Maybe has 11 or 12 wins. Who knows? I don't know if it's going to be like that. Probably
And then we
not.
struggle to re-sign George Pickens in the offseason, and he goes
Yeah,
off
for
to
sure.
another team.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, you'll be at the end of, the draft order, and, the quality may not be as likely to get a good player as being in the top 10. Then you'll end up trading up, sending more players, sending more picks off just to move up in the draft. It all just ends up being a mess. And it's a big risk, obviously. So, it's been hard to see this past week. The fact they did this trade, a week before the kickoff is crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that happen with any other team, really, that I can remember recently, like a trade of one of your best players, like a week before they're about to play, before the kickoff of the NFL season. But, it is what it is at this point. I really think this offense has a chance to be really good, and we'll dive in, just shortly. But the season opener is tonight, the NFL kickoff. The Cowboys at Philadelphia. Been hyping this game up a long time. Love to see a divisional matchup to start the season. Doesn't feel like we get that as many times with teams other than the Giants because we love to kick off against the Giants for some reason these past
Yeah,
10 years.
it's like the Mavs and Spurs or Mavs and Suns. It's just there's a specific team that we always play first off.
Exactly. So going against Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and the Philadelphia Eagles. Defense for the Philadelphia Eagles is still very much salty. What can the Cowboys do to defeat Philly?
Well, I am actually kind of excited for this game. I think, sorry, I think the best chance that the Cowboys have is Dak Prescott outdueling Jalen Hurts. I mean, seen we haven't seen Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts that many times matched up against each other. There's always those injuries. You mentioned that last week. Um, and we've already stated in this podcast before that we believe that Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. We both said that. All right.
Yes,
We both agree with that.
indeed. Of course, without a
And
doubt.
so, I mean, it's simple, man. Dak Prescott outduels Jalen Hurts. The media, the criticism that Dak Prescott gets is his turnovers. Well, Jalen Hurts throws more interceptions. He has thrown more interceptions in the last 3 years. He's had more turnovers in the last 3 years. Win the turnover battle and we have a chance. You can contain Jalen Hurts. The only thing that really scares me is, of course, the run defense. Um, I just don't see how we can stop their run. Last year they dominated us with the run. The first game, Saquon had like 170 yards against us. And then in the second game of last year, it wasn't really Saquon. It was actually Jalen Hurts, I believe, that ended up scoring a couple touchdowns. But I mean, um, you're gonna have to deal with Saquon and Jalen Hurts running all over you. Hopefully they're able to adjust with that. But going back to the Dak versus Jalen Hurts, I mean, if Dak can not turn over the ball as much as Jalen Hurts, if we can get a couple turnovers, at least one on Jalen Hurts, and Dak Prescott can play his game and have a better game, I think this game could be possible. I'm excited to see the new offense. I think, the front seven's intimidating for Philadelphia. Get some quick passes in to start off the game, kind of ease them off. You got Pickens and CeeDee Lamb now, so you got some weapons. They might be dropping back a little bit now. They're not
Mhm.
they're a little bit more intimidated of the wide receiver core than they have in past years. So I mean, get some quick passes in, and who knows what happens for the rest of the game. I always say you can tell when the Cowboys are going to lose by the way that they play in the first quarter.
Wait,
If they can
yes.
play good in the first quarter, anything is possible. If they lay an egg, they have a bunch of horrible defensive penalties or false starts or whatever, they turn the ball over, they have some stupid special teams thing that happens to them, they're probably not going to win. But win that first quarter, anything's possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's facts. We've seen it so many times in the playoff losses. That first quarter is almost anything. Any big game, that first quarter is almost anything for the Dallas Cowboys. But it is the first game in the new era of head coach Brian Schottenheimer has an entire new staff, really. Clayton Adams, who he got from the Arizona Cardinals, will be his OC, but it's still been said that Brian Schottenheimer is calling plays for this new look offense that you were talking about. Dak Prescott is back healthy. The Cowboys traded for George Pickens, a legit number two for this roster. So it's different from having Brandon Cooks or depending on Jalen Tolbert as your number two. But this is going to be a really cool addition for this offense. I cannot wait to see what the pass game looks like. And I saw a tweet. I feel like it's going to look like this, but I don't know if I trust this run offense a lot. And it might be one of those games where you see Dak throwing, a good amount of pass yards because they're going to have to depend on
Some
these
people think
receivers a
it's going to
lot.
be a shootout, yeah.
Against this front seven of the Philadelphia Eagles, which again is still really good. They didn't lose really any guys, honestly, in that D line. So this is going to be a really good showing for this offense in their debut. But also the Cowboys defense got former Bears head coach, former Colts DC, and former Cowboys secondary coach and linebackers coach and Matt Eberflus. And so he joins in the play calling for this first time as the main DC in Dallas. How do you think that this defense will do as an entire unit against Philadelphia? You kind of said it already. I mean, you don't think it's going to be good against the run. What about the pass defense?
I mean, the pass defense killed us last year too. I mean, basically our defense was just really bad. I really, it's been a full off season now. They've had the training camp and they get adjusted. I want to see Diggs and Bland get back to full form. They've been battling those injuries these past couple of years. They've had back and forth games, back and forth seasons. Both of them had historical seasons a few years ago, and now they've been just they kind of watered out, I guess, I don't know, that sounds like a weird way to put it, but they watered down.
I like that.
And
Watered down.
I mean, so I want to see them get back to full form. I want to see them have a good game. Um, it's going to be a tough one. I really do. I think highly of Devontae Smith as a wide receiver too. I think he's one of the best wide receiver twos in the entire league. And of course, AJ Brown. It's a tough task no matter what. Um, I can see them struggling. We talked about it being a shootout, but again, it's got to be the turnovers. Get the turnovers on Jalen Hurts. Diggs gotten a few interceptions on Hurts in the past few years. I would love to see another one tonight. The front seven, the linemen take a huge hit without Parsons, but you still have some strong pieces of Diggy Zua, and I would like to see Fowler Jr. make an impact as well. He had a great season for us a couple of seasons ago, so I'd like to see him come back and be another great piece to this line, or the front seven. So, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's really up and down for the pass game. I know the run game's going to struggle. But the pass game, that's where we got to attack. You got to get those turnovers.
Yeah, and I like that you talked about Devontae Smith, who I will never forgive the former Titans GM for that nonsensical trade. We could have faced Devontae Smith as the wide receiver one for the Eagles for years to come, and I thought we could have hung in there. But until they got AJ Brown, I officially got scared. And you saw how it's been since that trade, having two Super Bowl appearances, winning one just this past season. So you look at this defense, and you see the cornerbacks that have been named starters. It looks like it's going to be um, of course, Deron Bland, who just got an extension. A lot of people call it an overpay, $92 million.
That's
Very surprising to
legislative.
me. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. That is kind of a lot of money that I did not see coming. Trevon Diggs, cool to see that he's probably gonna be a start. So he's gonna play in this game after having, a little bit of injury history this past offseason, trying to recoup after his injury last year. And so he'll be able to play. And then also Kyer Elam, who the Cowboys got from the Bills, I believe, for a fifth round pick. He is now in the slot, I believe, for the corner in the starting lineup. So gonna be interesting to watch this defense as the DBs have kind of a more healthy look, but a new look with some additions. But also the Cowboys signed Kenneth Murray Jr. as a linebacker. And then also Jack Sanborn looking to be the middle linebacker, I believe. I don't know how this is going to work out. The
Yeah,
linebacking core, that might be the biggest question for this team this
definitely.
year. The biggest question. Kenneth Murray and Jack Sanborn. I loved Kenneth Murray back when he was at OU. Hate to say that's kind of sacrilegious as a former Longhorn, but Kenneth Murray was a really good player to
Very
watch as a Sooner, but hasn't really translated as much since he was with the Chargers. Been an okay player. When we got him, though, I thought it was a fine pick, but of course we had, Micah Parsons there, so he was there for a depth piece, not necessarily to be, our starting one of our starting backers, Sam backers. So as far as this defense goes, I'm with you. It's up in the air. I don't know what to expect tonight with this defense. If they're going to drop, a dud, or if they end up surprising people, maybe holding this team under 25 points. Who knows? I can see both things.
And I could see Brendan Aubrey being our only source of points tonight too. I mean, it's
Our
something that we
GOAT.
think we've gotten kind of used. Damn, we've kind of gotten used to last year. Hopefully, Dak Prescott can pull us out of the grave, give us some hope. So,
Knock on wood. What if Brandon Aubrey had like a rough season? What if he fell off? I hate to be that guy, but like this would be like the season where you think the
well, that
guy
would
who
be
was the most
season over,
consistent,
obviously.
the guy who'd be the most consistent somehow.
Are we talking like Brendan Aubrey type fall off?
Yeah, like
Or
just flat
Brendan,
out
what am I saying? Sorry. Uh, Brett Maher.
Brett Maher. Not to that extent. That was just an absolute disaster. But I mean, like if he fell off like Justin Tucker last year, hopefully it wouldn't be, criminal activity. But I'm just saying, looking average in a kicking game, I'd hope he wouldn't do that. That would be catastrophic for
No,
the special
Justin
teams
Tucker
here.
was horrible last year. I remember that. I picked him for my fantasy team, so
Yeah. And
even
now he's
worse off the
just
field too.
now the guy is just gone. Yeah, off the field, just been a disaster. Before we move on, I want to briefly talk about the over-unders. We do this every single game, usually during the season. Yeah, of course, the over-unders.
Oh.
Let's talk about Dak's over-under 249 and a half pass yards. TJ, over or under?
I'm gonna go over simply because I think that we'll be probably clawing from clawing because we're down, trying to get back in the game. So I'm gonna go over. I also think that I could see George Pickens having another, a great standout game right here, contract year. Got to make a statement early with his new team. I'm expecting George Pickens over 100 yards, Dak Prescott over on his yards.
What about George Pickens? You're saying over again for that one? You
Yeah,
said
sure.
100 yards?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I said
agree
he's
with
going to go 100 yards tonight.
I'm gonna agree Dak over George. I'll say under. His under is actually, well, his line's projected at 55 and a half receiving yards. I'm gonna go under for that one just slightly. I think he'll have a decent game. I don't know if he'll get over 55 and a half. By the way,
Agreed.
it's an 8.5 point underdog, the Cowboys are in Philadelphia, which honestly, it's not too bad. I really don't think that's terrible at all. I think that's very fair. 8.5 in that lion's den of an environment in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. When the Cowboys come to town, People know that when it's Cowboys week, it's hostile. The team that they hate the most, and Cowboys fans hate Philadelphia the most. So I think that's very fair. 8.5. I'm gonna go over for Dak, under for George Pickens. How about CeeDee Lamb? I think this is pretty easy. 71.5 receiving yards, over under.
You think it's pretty easy?
I think it's very
What,
easy.
what are you saying?
I'm saying like 120 yards. Easy. Over. You don't think so?
Yeah, no, I mean he can. I want to see. I should have done more research. I want to see what Dak and CeeDee Lamb have done against Philadelphia in the past, whenever they're both healthy. Um, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go over. I gotta say at least 80. I mean, if you're gonna play, I mean, Cavante Turpin, Tolbert, 50 yards max a game probably, unless they can break a huge play, which is pretty unlikely at times, unless it's on the special teams for Turpin. So
Hmm.
I'm going over Lamb. It's going to be Lamb and Pickens pretty heavily.
And then, you speak about the pass game. Let's talk about the run game for the last prop here. 36.5 rushing yards. Starting running back, Javonte Williams. What do you think?
I'm gonna go under. I think if anything, he's going to be part of the pass game. If we're gonna run, I think it's gonna be more Miles Sanders, Jaden Blue. I can also see Miles Sanders being part of the pass game as well, but I'm gonna go under Javonte Williams. I'm gonna see him more as a second and short, third and short type guy. Go out and try to get you know, those yards.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Again, I'm going to go under here. And again, not because the run game is going to be ineffective, but because they're running by committee and Javonte can be good as a pass catcher. So can Miles Sanders. So I'm going to go under here just slightly, but I do think that they're going to have their hands full clearly against this front seven of Philadelphia. So let's do a quick game prediction and then a season prediction before we move on to the Texas Rangers. What do you think about this game? Who wins? Who loses? What score?
Well, it's hard for me to ever say that the Eagles are gonna win. Obviously, it's sounds so delusional for a Cowboys fan to say that the Cowboys are gonna win this. But with what we've been saying, with the keys to win, the keys to victory this entire episode, or after we ranted about the Micah Parsons trade, I feel like I have to pick them winning. I'm expecting a big game from Dak. I'm expecting a big game from the two, wide receiver one and wide receiver two. I'm going to say 31 and 28, game winning field goal by Brendan Aubrey.
Oof. Ooh, I like it. I've been iffy about this team really the entire off season. It's been quite the rocky road, and we have gone on rant after rant in the podcast summer series. I don't know if they'll be gelled enough for this game. And that's not a disaster. That means that it doesn't mean that this team is cooked for the season if they were to lose this game. But I have them losing in Philadelphia to open the season.
I'm glad you're
This
picking them
crowd, this
because I don't
crowd
I don't believe my prediction at all.
This crowd is gonna be bumping in that little octagonal stadium in Philadelphia. I do think that they'll find a way just to ever so slightly beat the Cowboys. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I don't think it'll be crazy out of reach, but I do think that the Eagles will make less mistakes than the Cowboys, and it'll be simple as that. Winning the turnover battle, they'll lead the Eagles to victory, opening the season 1-0. The Cowboys sadly falling 0-1. But again, good game on the schedule next week for the Cowboys. If they were to lose this game, anyone's ball game. We've seen divisional matchups. They're never easy, really, when both teams are healthy. So I do think the Cowboys, unfortunately, drop this game. I say they drop it 27-24.
If Dak has more interceptions than Jalen Hurts or has more turnovers, man, my agenda is cooked. My agenda is so cooked.
And real quick again, how about a season record prediction, really quick?
Season record prediction.
We've
So
been
this is
leading into
what's
this one. Yeah.
I always say that the Cowboys are a very competitive regular season team. We obviously know that 12 and 5 for 3 years in a row is not easy whatsoever. And I like last season was hell. Last season sucked. And what they go 7 and 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, they went 7 and 10. I'm going to say they get a couple of those victories that they would have gotten last year. Their roster is slightly improved. I think, again, with the Micah Parsons trade, that might drop a game. I'm going 10 and 7. Make the wild card. I'm going with the Eagles not winning the division, but I'm gonna go with the Commanders winning the division. I think it's gonna be really competitive for the first three, and the Giants are gonna be competing for the first round pick again. Or the first
Hmm.
overall pick again.
I'm pretty much almost with you right there. I'm gonna be a little bit more optimistic right here, though. I'm gonna say 10-7, just like you. They get in there as the third wild card,
Hmm.
and I think the order will go Washington win the division. Again, we talk about, this divisional streak. I have to favor that. And I think it
Yeah,
favors Washington more.
I
Even though
favor
I
it.
don't believe they're going to be as great as they were last year, I can see them definitely, pissing down their leg this year. But I think they can find a way to regather themselves halfway through the season, win the division for the first time in, God knows how long. It probably has been, I think, COVID that they won the division. And we know how bad that division was that year.
Yeah,
Um,
that was the NFC least. Yeah.
that was all-time bad NFC East football for the Washington football team at the time, who found a way with Ron Rivera to win the division. Everybody seemed banged up, but I think they win the division. Philadelphia finds a way to get second, and the Cowboys are third, and the Giants, as you were saying, fighting for another first round pick, possibly. I think the Cowboys get that third spot in the NFC East, get the third wild card at 10-7, and sneak into the playoffs, get maybe a little hot with a new head coach. Who knows? Get a little streaky as they roll into the end of the regular season, make their NFC Championship appearance for the first time since '96. I don't think they win though.
And we've been massively delusional this entire episode, but I'm gonna like seriously, 7-10 last year for the way that the world reacted to how bad that season was. 7-10.
Oh,
All
some
right.
teams would kill for
Teams went
seven
3 and
wins.
14. Yeah. Some teams would kill for 7-10. I like the Panthers, man. 7-10 would be a wet dream to them. Like they need like the Cowboys are just overperformers in the regular season. I don't think it's a bad take at all to say that they would sneak into the playoffs as a third wild card team. They are overachievers in the regular season. They beat the teams they should beat. That's what they always do. So, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised at all. They make the playoffs. I would
Hey,
hold out
sweet.
hope, even though that's not a good thing to do, but
When they're healthy, we've seen them find a way. Only other really instance I can think of is, 2017 and 2019 when Dak was healthy really the whole season. They just found a way to not really do it, but those were the Jason Garrett years. I kind of separate those, even though that was the majority of our lives. Seeing Jason Garrett call the shots on the sidelines for almost a decade. But when this team is healthy, they find a way to compete. I don't think it's far-fetched to see them get a playoff spot. Do I think they win the division? Probably not. Probably not. But I think they can definitely get 9 or 10 wins for sure. I think that's very reasonable.